all over. So I was saying that this one isn't like any of the ones that you saw before. This one is x by x minus 3 is equal to 0. It's the same thing where it's as though x has two brackets around it like this, right? So you're still using that same principle, meaning that it would still be, you still have to make each of them equal to 0, right? So x, either if x multiplied by x minus 3 is equal to 0, it means that either x is equal to 0, this first bracket is equal to 0, or x minus 3 is equal to 0. So this one is already solved. X is equal to 0. And for this one, it'll be x is equal to 0 plus 3, which is 3. All right? So all that we looked at so far, we have already factorized the quadratics. All right. So now we're going to look at from scratch, factorizing the quadratic, first factorizing it and then solving it. Right. Now, the whole long, um, the whole long method where you find a C and B, you find AC and then ask yourself which factors of AC will multiply to give you AC, but at the same time add or subtract to give you B. Save that for when the coefficient of x squared is not 1, right? When the coefficient of x squared is 1, you could kind of figure it out much easier without having to do the whole thing with like factorizing by grouping or whatever, right? So let's look at a few examples like that. So let's say I have x squared take away 6x plus 5 is equal to 0. So I already know, because the coefficient of x squared here is 1, I already know that in the brackets, I'm going to have just x by x, because x times x is x squared, right? So I know that it's going to be x. All right. Now you just ask yourself which two factors of 5, right, will add or subtract to give you minus 6 and then multiply and multiply to give you 5, right? Now remember, I told you all, because this is a positive 5, so you need the two numbers, they have to multiply by each other to give you positive 5, and they have to add or subtract to give you negative 6. All right. So 5, thankfully, only has two factors, 1 and 5. And in order to get negative 6, you'll have to say negative 1 take away 5. So therefore, it will be, both of them will have negative signs. Negative 1 times negative 5 is positive 5, and negative 1 take away 5 is negative 6. So in my brackets, the second part, it would be minus 1 minus 5. All right, and when I multiply out those brackets, I'm supposed to get back the original quadratic, which I will actually get. But if you want to check your answer, like let's say you're working it out and you want to know if you factorize correctly, well, multiply out the brackets and you'll know if you factorized correctly, because when you multiply out these brackets, you should get back the original quadratic. So x by x is x squared. X by minus 5 is minus 5x. Minus 1 by x is minus x. And minus 1 by minus 5 is plus 5. And if I simplify that, this would be minus 5 take away x is minus 6x. And then plus 5 has no like term, so it'll just be plus 5. Right, so that's how you know if you factorize correctly, because when you expand those brackets, you're supposed to get the original quadratic. And of course, we've done multiple examples where we go from this factorized form of the quadratic to solving it. So if you have x minus 1 by x minus 5, then and both of that is equal to 0, then x take away 1 is equal to 0, or x take away 5 is equal to 0. So therefore, x is equal to 0 plus 1, which is 1, or x is equal to 0 plus 5, which is 5. Right? So whenever the coefficient of x squared is 1, you don't really need to go through the whole long process of finding AC and then figuring out which factors of AC will multiply to give you AC, but at the same time add or subtract to give you B. All right, so each of us, we're gonna do some like these together, right? I'm gonna start with you, Janaya. You there, love? Janaya, are you here, honey? I don't know if Janaya is here. Nia, are you there?
Yes, miss.
Okay, let's look at one, okay? So let's say we have x squared take away 10x plus 24 is equal to 0. All right, so babe, because the coefficient of x squared is 1, we know that it's just going to be x and x in there, right? So we know that it's going to be x by x. So that gives me x squared. And now you have to ask yourself, what are the factors of 24? And it's always good to list them in pairs because that way you could see which pair immediately would will add or subtract to give you negative 10. So listing the factors of 24 in pairs, meaning like I know 1 is a factor of 24, so the number that would go with that would be 24 because 1 times 24 is 24, right? What would be the next pair of factors? And let's go in numerical order.
2 and 12.
2 and 12, right? And then we have
Oh, wait. Only timetables, the timetables.
3,
3 and what?
3 and 8.
Oh, oh. Oh, 4 and 6.
Yeah, and that's it, right? So which of these factors, we already know they multiply to give me 24, but which of those can I use to get negative 10?
Okay, so basically, when you think about the point of the fact of the matter, miss, Oliver, my calculator not working.
Well,
2 and 12?
not 2 and 12, because if it's 2 and 12, then if you think about 2 and 12, you could say 2 take away 12 is negative 10, right? But 2 times negative 12 does not give me positive 24. So that can't work. Which of the other two there? I mean, which other pair could give you 10?
Did you hear what I say?
No, babe, what you said?
4 and 6.
Yes, love, it is 4 and 6. And what about the signs of it?
Oliver,
-4 and -6.
Yeah, negative 4 and negative 6. I don't know if that was Neo, if somebody was helping her, but I'm sure she's grateful.
yeah, I really am, bro, because I was not able to figure that out because my calculator crashing out.
So it's
That was
negative
me.
4 and negative 6. Yeah, perfect, right? Because watch, negative 4 times negative 6 is positive 24, and negative 4 take away 6 is negative 10. So that works. Okay, Nia, solve it from here, babe.
Okay, so basically, oh gosh, I forget what we was doing. Oh wait, no.
No,
I
you
remember.
ain't forget. Come on. You could do
No,
it.
wait, no. X equals,
No, x take away 4.
yeah, x take away 4 equals 0, and
Yeah,
x take away 6 equals 0, and
yeah,
x equals 4, and
yeah.
x equals 6.
Perfect. Thank you, girlfriend. Okay. Kaylin. Is
Yeah.
Kaylin here? Okay. Hi, babe. Let's do x squared, uh, take away 15x plus 56.
Oh my days. Okay. So,
I know it will be x and x because it's the coefficient of x squared is 1. So yeah.
yeah. Okay. So the first two numbers that I thought about were 7 and 8.
And those are actually the two numbers, you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the signs? What would they be?
Okay, so it would be, hmm. -7 and -8.
Yeah, correct. Girls, once this number, once C is positive and B is negative, the signs of the two numbers will always be negative because that's the only thing you could do to get a positive number and add or subtract to give you a negative number. So once B is negative and C is positive, it's always going to be two negatives. So this would be X take away 7 and X take away 8. Good. Solve it for me, please.
Okay, so x minus 7 is equal to 0,
Mhm.
or x minus 8 is equal to 0.
Perfect.
Therefore, x would be 7,
Yeah.
or x would be 8.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right.
Miss,
Yeah.
you could go over number 2, please.
Yeah, babe. So number 2, it's x squared minus 10x plus 24. So the groups would be 1 and 24 because 1 times 24 is 24. 2 and 12, since 2 times 12 is 24. 3 and 8 because 3 eights are 24. And 4 and 6 because 4 sixes are 24. So far, so good?
Yeah.
And now we have to choose the combination, the pair, sorry, that will well, we already know that it multiplies to give me 24 because we listed it in that way. But now we have to choose the two numbers, the pair, sorry, that would add or subtract to give me -10, right? It couldn't be 1 and 24 because 1 take away 24 is -23. And 24 take away 1 is +23. Or -1 take away 24 is -25. So that doesn't work to give you -10. 2 and 12 couldn't work either because, well, 2 take away 12 is -10, but 2 times -12 is -24. So that couldn't work because the signs have to be the same, right? It has to be, if you're saying 2 take away 12, then the symbols, there would be +2 and -12. And +2 times -12 is -24. But we want to get +24. So that's why 2 and 12 can't work, right? And even if you look at it in the other way, 12 take away 2, well, 12 take away 2 is +10. So that wouldn't work because we need -10. And 3 and 8, well, 3 and 8 can't give you 10. 3 and 8 is 11, right? So the only two here, the only combination that could have given you 10 is either 2 and 12 or 4 and 6. The reason we chose 4 and 6 is because if you say -4 times -6, you'll get +24. And -4 take away 6 will give you -10. So that's how we got -4 and -6. Is that okay, honey?
Yeah.
Let's do one together. All right, let's say we have x squared take away 6x plus 8. All right, Jenny, let's do that one together, love. So what combinations of factors will multiply to give us 8?
1 by 8,
Yeah,
4 by 2.
that's right. So it's really just 1 by 8 and 2 by 4, right? So which of
Yeah.
those two could give me 6? 1 and 8 or 2 and 4?
2 and 4.
2 and 4, right? So now let's play with the signs. Now, if it was 2 take away 4, that wouldn't work because 2 take away 4 is -2. So that wouldn't work, right? Now, if we switch it and we say 4 take away 2, well, that's +2. So none of them would work. So the only thing we could try next is, well, I mean, we could also do 2 plus 4, but 2 plus 4 will give me +6. And that's not what we want, right? So if we do -2 by -4. Would that give me -6?
Yes.
Correct. So those are the two numbers that we would write. So tell me what I would write as the factors. How would I list it out?
X minus 2
Mhm.
and x minus 4.
That's right. And all of that is equal to 0. So solve it for me.
X minus 2 is equal to 0.
Mhm.
And X minus 4 is equal to 0.
Beautiful. So then X would be,
2,
that's right, and
4.
perfect. Do you understand, love?
Yes.
Yeah, the most complicated part, I think, is the signs, like choosing the correct signs. So, I mean, the shortcuts is me trying to tell you all to remember that if C is positive and B is negative, the two factors will always be negative. But if you don't remember that, you really just have to use your little trial and error, right? One thing that helps me is writing them in pairs like this one time. So I know that the only thing I'm trying to figure out is how to change the signs to make it equal to whatever B is. All right. Let us take a short break. And when you come back, I'm giving you all some questions to do, and you're going to do it now. And you're going to send it to me. And if anybody needs help, you just let me know and I will do it on the screen, right? But we're going to take a short break now. Right. So we have x squared minus 12x plus 32 is equal to 0. So we already know that in the brackets, you're going to have x times x something and then x, because it's just x squared, right? So x times x will give you x squared. To figure out these two numbers, the term that goes here and the term that goes here, we have to figure out what two factors of 32 will add or subtract to give me minus 12, right? So it'll be 4 and 8, all right? Because 4 times 8 is equal to 32. But this has to be minus 4 and minus 8, because we need to get minus 12 from that. So the only way we could get minus 12 is if both of them are negative. So it'll be negative 4 take away 8, sorry, which will be negative 12. So the signs would have to be, it'll have to be minus 4 in here and minus 8.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Is that the
Oh,
part that was confusing you?
wait. Minus 1, minus 8. Oh, I understand now. I understand.
Yeah, it has to be minus 4 and minus 8 because we have to get minus 12. So those are the only two signs that would give us, that would multiply to give me positive 32, and at the same time subtract to give me minus 12. So it'll be minus 4 and minus 8. So that's how we got minus 4 here and minus 8. So then this would be x take away 4 is equal to 0. Remember, in order for this whole thing to be true, x minus 4 times x minus 8 equals to 0. It means either x take away 4 has to be equal to 0, or x take away 8 is equal to 0. So then if x take away 4 is 0, x is equal to 0 plus 4, which is 4. And if x take away 8 is 0, then x is equal to 0 plus 8, which is 8.
I understand now. I confuse myself because I like to do like the whole proper long way instead of just like, you see how when you're just now, like when you start to just do the brackets and it's like, yes, obvious that x, because because a is 1, I still was doing it the long way. And when I was factorizing it by grouping,
Yeah.
the signs was confusing me.
Right. So here's what. Don't do it like that when the coefficient of x squared is 1, because it will just make you liable to make a mistake, you know? So use what you know already. So it's not even a shortcut or anything, you know. It's just that it's the fact that once x squared, once a is 1, then it's only x will go in there. So the only thing you need to work with is really just C and B. Right? So I would really suggest doing it that way instead of doing it the long way with AC and then B.
Okay, I
Right?
understand.
So don't think of it as a shortcut. Just think of it as being more efficient. Okay, girls, I'm seeing the rest of your work, so I'm gonna look at it now. Right. Okay, let me just write this over completely. So x squared take away 5x take away 6 is equal to 0. All right. Now we already know that the coefficient of x squared is 1, so it's just going to be x and x in here. Now, what you have to be mindful of is that C is negative 6, right? So if you recall your rules of directed numbers, the only way you can multiply two numbers to get a negative product is if one of them is positive and the other one is negative. So that means, girls, that in the brackets, one of these factors will be positive and the other one will be negative. All right, so let's think of the factors of 6. In pairs, it's 1 and 6, and 2 and 3, right? So remember, each of them, they're going to have different symbols. One of them is going to be positive and one of them is going to be negative. That's the only way that they can multiply to give me a negative number. So if you look at that, if you think of that, it must be 1 and 6, right? Because in order to get negative 5 from 2 and 3, both of them would have to be negative. But if you have negative 2 and negative 3, that would multiply to give me positive 6. So that's why negative 2 and negative 3 cannot work, right? Or the two factors the two factors 2 and 3 cannot work. The factors would have to be 1 and 6 because 1 take away 6 is negative 5 and 1 multiplied by negative 6 is negative 6. All right. So I want you all to keep in mind the rules of multiplying directed numbers. Okay, so if you want to get negative 6, the two factors have to have different signs. So it'll be x plus 1 by x minus 6 because 1 take away 6 is negative 5 and 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. So the solution here will be x plus 1 is equal to 0 or x take away 6 is equal to 0, which means that x is equal to negative 1 or x is equal to positive 6. All right, let's look at number 11. Number 11 is similar. You have x squared take away 6x take away 16 is equal to 0. Again, the two factors have to have different signs because that's the only way you could get, they could multiply by each other to give me a negative. All right. So in the brackets, we know that it's just going to be x, right? Because x times x gives me x squared. And now, if we think about the factors of 16, they are 1 and 16, 2 and 8, or 4 and 4. So just looking at the numbers themselves, the only two there that could make a combination to give me 6 would be 2 and 8, right? Just 2 and 8. And we need negative 6, so it will have to be 2 take away 8. 2 take away 8 is equal to not negative 4, is equal to negative 6. And then 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. So this will be 2x plus 2 by x minus 8. So therefore, x plus 2 is equal to 0 or x minus 8 is equal to 0. So therefore, x is equal to negative 2 or x is equal to positive 8. So be careful, girls, with that part. That part, I think, is choosing the right symbols, the right signs of the factors is very important. Okay, so just some things to recall. When you have a negative C and a negative B, the two factors are going to have different signs. If you have a negative B and a positive C, the two factors are going to be negative. If you had a negative C and a positive B, the two factors will have different signs. So those are just some things you could try to memorize it that way, but ultimately the thing that would help you the most is just your trial and error, right? So for number 12, it would be x. Now the factors of 39 that would multiply to give me negative 39 and at the same time add or subtract to give me negative 10 would be 10, not 10, sorry, 3 and 13. So x plus 3 and x take away 13. Because 3 take away 13 is negative 10, and 3 times negative 13 is negative 39. So the full answer here will be x is equal to negative 3, x is equal to positive 13. Girls, so I want you all to copy those down. I am going to give you all some more to practice for me for homework, but make a note of these